Hi there, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Maintenance Mindset. I'm Paul Rhodes. Today's episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit different and answering a very, very common question that I receive. But before we get into talking about a maintenance mindset, today's episode is brought to you by AppWorks. They're one of our founding sponsors, and they do more than just maintenance. You see, they're actually advanced business intelligence. They're designed to streamline maintenance workflows with actual gamification of the maintenance operations. And what this does is it's an organized way of allowing maintenance technicians to actually compare themselves and identify areas where they can get better based on your own business model and business plans. Check out AppWork at www.appworkco.com. Now, today's episode of Maintenance Mindset, I'd like to do something a little bit different than what we've done before. Instead of telling a story or what we have followed kind of as a rough structure, I'd like to answer a question. I've been asked before, what exactly is a maintenance mindset? What does it mean to have a maintenance mindset? Well, for me, there's kind of a list that describes a maintenance mindset. And I thought it would be interesting to go over what that list is and then do a little fun association to demonstrate what it means to have a maintenance mindset. You see, in short, I have a list of like 10 assessments. I won't call them 10 commandments or anything like that. What these are is a way of thinking and viewing the world through eyes that see everything as a maintenance issue, because it is. You see, it kind of starts with a maintenance mindset is taking short-term action with a long-term focus, meaning, what can I do today that will save time tomorrow? A maintenance mindset is being unafraid to work hard and work smart. A maintenance mindset is something that keeps yesterday's wisdom and applies it using today's knowledge. A maintenance mindset is someone who makes decisions that rely on grit and determination to continue to seek better ways of getting something done. A maintenance mindset does require a good sense of humor, because there's a lot of unpleasant situations that occur while performing maintenance, and a lot of unpleasant situations occur in life. And a part of a maintenance mindset is knowing that having a sense of humor will make the unpleasantness more bearable. A maintenance mindset continues to investigate beyond a symptom, because a maintenance mindset wants to solve the root of the problem, not just apply a band-aid that has to be continually refreshed. With a maintenance mindset, safety is understood to be a lens that one must look through, and we need to take actions with that view in mind, instead of safety just being a thing that has to be ranked as safety first or safety second or safety is the most important thing. A maintenance mindset accepts the truth that details and data matter, especially when we're discussing strategy. A maintenance mindset internalizes the fact that entropy is job security, but at the same time, it doesn't use that as an excuse for poor performance. A maintenance mindset acknowledges that perception of a job well done is as important as doing the job well. those are kind of a listing of what it means or what I mean when I reference having a maintenance mindset. It's how we go about making decisions. But, more than just a list or a set of commandments, I thought it would be interesting to take something out of popular culture and view it through a maintenance mindset. So what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and we'll cue the music. That way you'll get an idea of what it is that we're doing. Ready? Go. Oh, what? We don't have it in budget. Okay. Can we at the very least have the words that scroll up the screen in that iconic way? Oh, no? Okay. Well then, hold on. Let's see if we can come up with another way of doing this. Stand by just a moment. There we go. There we go. The problem is that budgets. We all live on budgets. Our properties live on budgets, and a part of having a maintenance mindset is knowing what you can do within the constraints that are placed on us by our budget. So what I wanted to do was apply a maintenance mindset to an iconic movie, one that has meant a lot to me and is still a bellwether for entertainment today, and that is Star Wars: A New Hope, the original, part 4, because part 4 apparently came first within our timeline. And you see, the reason why I like thinking about a maintenance mindset in regard to Star Wars is because the movie opens and we meet our galactic hero, Luke Skywalker. And we meet him on a planet called Tatooine, and I hope, maybe I should say spoiler alert, in case you maybe haven't seen it. But we meet Luke on this desert planet, and he's actually working for his uncle Owen. And if you've seen the movie, you remember that he was a maintenance tech. He worked on a moisture farm. He dealt with moisture converters, which essentially they're evaporators. Exactly what our maintenance technicians deal with on a regular basis. So, before he went off saving the universe and doing all of that work, he was a maintenance technician. That was his job. I firmly believe that he applied a maintenance mindset to everything that Luke Skywalker did. Now, we don't just have to look at Luke's life and the story background in his mind. We can look at the rest of the movie with a maintenance mindset. As a matter of fact, let's look at one of the most iconic villain homes or weapons that you could ever think of. The Death Star. This huge planet globe gun that destroyed planets. Now, according to Wikipedia, the internet, basically, the Death Star was the same size as a class 4 moon, meaning it's roughly the size of our moon. Just from a diameter measurement, it says that it was 160 kilometers in diameter, with a 1 kilometer wide trench running around its equator. And according to Sci-Fi Network, it had 2 million cubic kilometers on the inside of it. Now, I don't know what the translation is. I just copied this directly off the internet. But that's really, really big. From a manpower, from a personnel standpoint, that means there was 1.7 million military people on the Death Star, 400,000 maintenance droids, and 250,000 civilians, associated contractors, and other people that were all on the Death Star. And if you think about it, this is a massive mixed use community. As a matter of fact, it's partially military housing and civilian housing, overseen by civilian contractors that were working for the government. So all of this goes in to say that we have a massive apartment building that's floating through space and going around destroying things. But you know what? It's my opinion that the Death Star should have been destroyed, even if it didn't want to destroy planets and murder millions of people. As a structure, it had some major problems. Think about the storyline. In the story, you've got the good guys trapped in a corridor on the prison level. And how do they escape? Down a trash chute. But if you remember the story, if you remember what it was, in this hallway where people are supposed to be, they had a grate in the side of the hallway where you're venting air. And of course, Leia blasts through it, forces Han Solo and Luke to jump down the chute with them, and Chewbacca, and they end up inside a trash compactor. So wait a second. From a building engineering architectural design, you've got a trash compactor that vents into an occupied space. Now, it does not take an engineer to figure out that this is really not the best place to have garbage odors coming out. I mean, not only was that a problem, if you think back to what happened in the story, and, spoiler alert, how the good guys destroyed the Death Star, an exhaust vent. Remember the exhaust port that was 2 meters wide that the X-Wings were able to destroy? So basically what I'm saying is that nobody consulted maintenance technicians when they were designing the Death Star. And because of that, you have the eventual destruction of that multifamily mixed-use community. Oh, but wait, let's go even one step further. Back to the trash compactor. According to the EPA, per day, for that amount of people, we're talking over almost 2 million people if we round everybody all together. We're talking roughly 2 million people. And for that amount of people, food alone, according to the EPA, is 4,000 tons of food. One day, 4,000 tons of food. Not only that, again, per the EPA, and of course this is all, United States standard by the Environmental Protection Agency, every person produces almost 5 pounds of waste per day. Per person. Yeah, the Death Star is a big planet. But where does all that trash go? Kind of gives us insight to, why sometimes it takes our maintenance teams extra time in the mornings to clean out the trash compactors at our properties, or the dumpsters, or dealing with that. But you know what? We're talking about the Death Star here. And you see, the only thing I could come up with from a design standpoint is that the Death Star was actually burning its waste. Maybe it used it for fuel. Maybe it had a recycling program. I don't know. We have to guess. But here's my question for you. If it's going to be incinerated, why are we compacting it first? I just don't understand that. And that's all just from a trash level. So, as you can see, when we begin to apply a maintenance mindset to what we end up seeing, it kind of gives us a new outlook or a new vantage point. For instance, on the Death Star, do you remember seeing the doors that people went through? You know, they were hatches. Some of them opened diagonally and they closed diagonally. The ones that really stand out to me, though, are the doors that opened instantaneously. I mean, you may remember the sound was really, really quick. How many limbs, like arms and legs, were lost by people who happened to be standing in the way of those doors opening and closing? Can you imagine having to lubricate the gears and the belts, or the, maybe it was the force that actually opened and closed those doors? What about walking around the Death Star? I mean, really and truly, maybe it shouldn't have been called the Death Star at all. Maybe it should have been called the Death Trap. How many bridges did you see that had no handrails? None whatsoever. I mean, really, heck, let's even look at something that's a little bit closer to home. Toilets. You know, again, remembering, according to Wikipedia, the Death Star had just over 2 million people. Of course, that's other races and possible other galactic inhabitants, but let's just take it as people. Now, according to OSHA, the Occupational Safety Health Administration, for every 16 to 35 employees, you must have and provide 2 toilets. So if we take an average of 26 people, divide that by the number of people there, we're talking over 140,000 toilets on the Death Star alone. I mean, really, about 20,000 of that were civilians. So it's absolutely amazing that when we take our swag rule of apartments and people, we end up figuring out that really and truly, if we have one maintenance technician per home, and we divide that number of civilians, just the civilians, not even the military housing, the number of civilians on the Death Star was reported to be 650,000 people. And if we divide that number of people by the number of average family homes, we come out with 208,000 homes, apartments homes, on the Death Star. And if we follow the swag razor of 1 per 100 homes, we come out with 2,077 maintenance droids. Now, Wikipedia reports that there was actually over 400,000 maintenance droids on the whole Death Star itself. So essentially what I'm saying is, we've got a lot of droids left over for all the military needs. I wonder if that's how every surface in the Death Star was always shiny and very pretty. I mean, did you ever wonder the fact that all of those shiny surfaces, you never ever saw even one fingerprint left on any of them? I guess that means that they had a very, very healthy curb appeal program that was going on at that particular base. I mean, that's some amazing toilets. Can you imagine the on call protocols for that? I mean, at no point in time did you ever see anybody take out a maintenance app to put in a work order on a portal. I mean, now, a part of this, we do have to acknowledge that the movie we're talking about came out in 1977. This is before smartphones, really before the internet. If you remember back, the height of communication was either a headset radio or the little itty bitty thing that just looked like a microphone stalk that you talked into. All of this goes in to say that looking at things with a maintenance mindset might just change the perspective of whatever it is we're looking at. I mean, one last thing. You know, I kind of get the feeling with all of this that if we're honest, the Empire wasn't worried about fair housing in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, the discussion points that we've covered today really and truly are just an application of a maintenance mindset. One can take the maintenance mindset, those listings of about 10 statements, and apply it to anything that we have in life. All of those go to say that the role that our maintenance teams play is extremely important. Even building structures, maintenance needs to be taken into account. A community I worked at years ago was a mid-rise property. Right next to the property, we had a parking garage, and the maintenance shop was installed on the bottom floor of the parking garage. It was 4 stories below street level. Oh, and the elevator only went down to 3 stories, meaning you got off the elevator and then you went down one more flight of stairs in order to get to the shop. Now, when they designed the particular shop at this property, they put in 240 volt service. So you could actually plug in a dryer and a stove in order to work on them and diagnose them and do all of the testing from a maintenance standpoint. The only problem was, in order to get it down there, you had to go down a flight of stairs that, because it was underground, was an enclosed area, and it was just barely enough space to get the stove around the corner in order to get it down into the shop. In other words, like the Death Star, maintenance was needed. It was acknowledged. However, in the design, it wasn't planned for very well. At that property, one of the things that I did before too awful long was I got 240 volt service applied to a closet in the building itself so that I didn't have to carry the stove and the dryer down the stairs in order to do service on them or test them out. That way I could work on them outside of the residence apartment and I had access to power and what I needed. Not to mention the fact that trying to store refrigerators in the original shop was all but impossible. The only way to get them in and out was to actually go around the long ramps to get back up to street level. Having a maintenance mindset allows us to remember that anything and everything we do requires to be maintained. And maintaining is an active process. As you can tell, the Death Star needed to be destroyed as a structure. I'm not saying that apartment community that I worked at needed to be destroyed, but I am suggesting that liberal application of a maintenance mindset, as we've looked at today, could help us save time later. Thank you for joining me today in the maintenance mindset. I hope this sheds a little bit of light into what it looks like to apply a maintenance mindset. Today's episode was brought to you by AppWork. AppWork is one of the founding sponsors of the Multifamily Media Network. They have an app and provide business maintenance, business intelligence, including digital make-ready boards, work order tracking, and maintenance tech leaderboards that allow your community to gamify the maintenance process. All in all, AppWork at www.appworkco.com provides solutions for operational headaches found on your site. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you somewhere.